This tiny suspension electric unicycle absolutely blew my mind and obliterates the competition. I'm gonna say it now, this thing is the GOAT. Hey, this is not your cue yet. Come back another time. Not that kind of GOAT, the greatest of all time. Let's review the Nosfet Aero. This is the Nosfet Aero, an ultra premium and super powerful small electric unicycle without the ultra premium price tag. The Aero has a 126 volt battery with 1100 watt hours of battery capacity using Samsung 50S high performance battery cells. It has a super powerful, for its size, 2000 watt motor, a smart BMS for safety, and weighs only 54.7 pounds. This video is made in association with nextgenmobility.org. I did purchase this EUC with my own money, but Next Gen Mobility was kind enough to pay for the air shipping so I could get this review out as quickly as possible. And just because of the possibly perceived conflict of interest, I'm gonna try to be as critical as possible about this wheel. Being that the Aero is a small EUC with a 10-inch rim, I'm just gonna say this now. Don't expect the Aero to be shattering speed records on the big track. But I will say this, the Aero packs a serious wallop, especially for its size. The Aero has a maximum free spin speed of 48 miles per hour. But really, free spin speed doesn't matter that much. What we care about truly is the maximum riding speed. Before this wheel went into production, the maximum speed that Nosfet had recorded the Aero going is 34.5 miles per hour, which is honestly pretty impressive for this tiny beast. The edge-to-edge diameter of the Aero is a mere 16.4 inches, which means that it's not the most stable EUC in the world when you start reaching those higher speeds. If it had a true street tire, then it would be a different story, but with the hybrid tire that's installed, it's not quite as gyroscopically stable, but this wheel isn't designed to be a high-speed street cruiser. It's a grab-and-go wheel, a last-mile commuter, a skate park trick wheel, a light trail wheel, and an incredibly good choice as a beginner EUC. Or, dare I say it, this is the wheel to show off to your one-wheel owning friends and really make them jealous. This is the wheel that will convert people from other PEVs, especially one-wheels. In terms of the power-to-weight ratio and the price tag, the Aero blows the competition out of the water. So for that reason, I see the Aero as the perfect gateway drug into the world of electric unicycles. The acceleration on the Aero is shockingly good. In my very first ride, I took this wheel up to 30 miles an hour, and that was just in the first 5 minutes or so. But then I took it on another ride the following day, and I very confidently got it up to 32 miles an hour. For a wheel of this size, that's kind of unreal to have that kind of confidence. And I think that a lot of that has to do with the fact that we have a really nice suspension on this wheel. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, because we're not talking about the suspension yet. But the suspension is a really big factor in the stability of the wheel, in the way that it makes it so you can go so much faster. I'll be the first person to admit that I'm not the best backwards rider in the world. I'm decent at it on certain wheels, but really, the Aero is something that inspires confidence when you're riding backwards. It's the fact that it has a suspension, the fact that it's a smaller wheel, and I gotta say the pads that are included with it are also really comfortable and lock my feet in very nicely, so it just makes riding backwards that much better. And I gotta say that the pads that come with this wheel are just really phenomenal. They're so comfortable and they just keep your foot really locked in nicely. And it just makes it so much easier to ride backwards. The Aero is confidence inspiring when it comes to riding backwards. The trolley handle on the Aero is really well thought out because when it's stashed in its lower position, a lot of people don't even realize that it's there. But then there's something that we don't really see much of these days, but it's here on the Aero, and that is a centered lift handle. So if you ever want to carry your wheel, You can, easily. A little feature like a centered lift handle makes a humongous difference if you happen to live on the 3rd or 4th floor of an apartment complex and you have to carry a wheel all the way up there. And you don't want to have to carry it with both hands necessarily and just lug it up the stairs. So that's why I really like the fact that it has a centered lift handle. But enough about the trolley handle. Let's talk about the practicality of the Aero. If you happen to live in a big city where the average car speed doesn't exceed 30 miles an hour, or if they have lots of bike lanes, then the Aero might be one of the best options out there for you. But as for me, I don't live in the big city, so the Aero has some other uses. If you have a 4-legged, furry, raving lunatic that lives in your home, then the Aero just might be a great option for you. Let me give you an idea of what I mean. The trigger word will be go. Go. See what I mean? Let's have some fun. We could be burning hot laps like this all day long. The Aero can handle it, and it makes it extra fun with the dog. But exercising the dog isn't the only practical use for people outside the big city like me. Towing a heavy load is super easy and effortless with the Aero. And in fact, this is the wheel that I now choose every time for tasks such as this, because it's just so maneuverable and powerful and way too easy to take in and out of the house. Nothing like riding the goat to feed the goats. Know what I mean? Happy speed is the speed that an average skilled rider, not an expert, but an average skilled rider should be able to go on a given wheel in ideal conditions on the street. Now, comment section, I know that you can go 70 miles an hour on it. Again, this is what an average skilled rider should be able to go on it. I would say that the Aero lands itself at about a 27 to 28 mile per hour happy speed. Honestly, I find that number to be pretty high considering the size of this wheel. I think that has a lot to do with the amazing suspension that comes on this wheel. The Aero is super powerful for its size and for its weight. Getting to the top speed on this wheel is fairly effortless. It's actually really amazing. But at the same time, being that it's a smaller wheel with a smaller wheel diameter, it is possible that you could get some speed wobbles that occur just from a lack of skill or maybe poor pad placement. And because it's smaller, the wobbles can come on a lot faster and they can become a lot more violent and less manageable. However, if you slap a dedicated street tire on that, I believe that it will increase the gyroscopic stability just a little bit and increase the happy speed by about 1 to 2 miles an hour. Let's talk about this tire though, shall we? This is a tubeless hybrid tire, so it's neither a street nor a knobby tire. They just went with one single option. And honestly, I think that's a pretty smart move. I think that there's gonna be a lot of people that are gonna be torn between wanting a knobby tire or a street tire, and you can have pretty much the best of both worlds with this one right here. Best of all, and I've been beating this drum for a long time, but I love the fact that this wheel has a tubeless tire with a tubeless rim. That is something that I've been begging EUC manufacturers for a long time, and they finally did it. Thank you, Nosfet. Thank you. But if you hate this tire, then you can actually access it super quickly. One thing that I absolutely love about the Apex is the fact that it has only a few screws to take off the side panels, so you can access the tire super quickly. Gone are the days where you're gonna have to spend 2+ hours disassembling your wheel just to access the tire. Then you spend another 2 hours reassembling it. The whole point is for this whole experience to be as frustration-free as possible. And I think they killed it right here. They did a great job in that regard.
Girls, what y'all trying to do? Tell me what you're trying to do. 24-karat magic in the air.
Sadly, the patent trolls at Begode are ever vigilant to sue any competitor who includes pads on their wheels, unless they're named extremebull, of course. It's truly ridiculous. Kingsong, one of Begode's competitors, believes that if something is punishable by a fine, then what it really means is it's legal for a price. Kind of like getting speeding tickets. Well, Nosfet is not willing to accept the legal bills associated with that fight, so they understandably are not including pads with any of their products. So now the burden of including pads with the wheel is on the customer or on the dealer to provide pads out of their own pockets. So always check with your dealer to see if they're offering a free set of pads with the wheel. If they aren't, then you must buy a compatible set to go with your purchase. So with the Begode branded pads that come with your purchase from Next Gen Mobility, that also comes with laser cut Velcro, so it actually sticks on really well. But because it's so curvy, just any old pads won't do. You have to get something that curves with it. And pretty much this is the only thing that I've found that sticks on there really well. Sadly, that means that good old-fashioned Grizzly pads, Clark pads, Vertex pads, they're not gonna stick on very well. Sorry. I can't say enough how much I love the pedal behavior on leaperkim and Nosfet EUCs. Ever since I stepped foot on a leaperkim wheel, my entire worldview about EUCs changed, and I understood why so many people fall in love with their products. I feel that exact same way with Nosfet products. The way the pedals quickly return to your neutral position after a hard acceleration and braking is unlike anything else on the market. Lesser brands will have the pedals irritatingly slowly return to your neutral position, but not this. I can't get enough of it on the Aero, and it makes me not want to ride any other brand because this feature simply doesn't get celebrated enough. The Aero has a suspension by RfloXA. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but I'm going with it. This is a relatively new company, but they make dedicated suspension upgrades for e-motos, such as Surons and Tellurias. All their products are super well reviewed, and the Aero is no different. The Aero comes with 70 millimeters of suspension travel, and this little machine suspension is good for rider weights all the way up to about 275 pounds. Not gonna lie, it feels pretty much identical to the Fast Ace suspension that you get on leaperkim wheels. Obviously with a little bit less suspension travel because it's a smaller wheel. The coil spring rate is linear, not progressive, but don't let that turn you off. As for myself, and the other people that have ridden on this wheel thus far, we have been unable to bottom it out. To put it bluntly, this is the best suspension on a small EUC ever made. Let's talk about the elephant in the room though. The pedals are not that good. They're actually the biggest complaint I have about the Aero. These pedals are cast and not CNC machined, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but the biggest problem I have with it is the fact that these are little bumps and they're quite rounded. And whenever I would go on a light trail ride and get the pedals a little bit wet, my foot did slip around quite a bit. It's a little unnerving. I don't think it's gonna be a big problem if you only ride when it's dry, but when it's wet, you definitely wanna get something to fix this pedal problem. However, Begode is back to save the day. Not only did they make these very nice pads for the Aero, but they're also putting a pedal cover with heightened heel and toe parts that basically make it so it has actual spikes on there. That should fix the pedal woes that I'm complaining about. All of the problems that I have with it can be solved with an entrepreneurial third party. And out of 10, if I could give the Aero a score, 10 being virtually unattainable, I would give it a 9.5. The problems that this wheel has are super, super minor. With the release of the Aero, the bar has been raised forever. There's now no need to compromise. You can get an ultra premium EUC. You can get something that has tons of power for its size with an amazing suspension and something that's priced pretty aggressively. The Aero challenges the commonly held belief that an inexpensive EUC and a small EUC will inevitably end up being underpowered. But this changes that. This changes everything forever. This wheel guarantees enjoyment for beginners and advanced enthusiasts alike. There's beauty, there's uncompromising quality control, there's tons of power. I just love so much about this wheel. Yes, there are some complaints that I had about it, but honestly, none of them are that big of a deal or huge deal breakers. I personally believe that the Aero is an outstanding value proposition. It's a wheel that you're gonna really be able to get the maximum bang for your buck. For the longest time, self-declared experts have advised people to get a cheap, inexpensive, and also underpowered EUC to learn on. And then when they get good at it, then they get something that is a lot more powerful. But you can have it all in the package of the Aero. But best of all, if you have Onewheel owning friends, this is the device to take out on rides with them. This is the wheel that you can use to flex on them. So they're all gonna be jealous of you because you have a machine that is way more powerful than theirs. It's not that large and therefore not that intimidating, has an amazing suspension, and that is what is going to, in my opinion, bring in a whole bunch of Onewheel and other PEV riders into the fold. I mean, the most expensive Onewheel out there is about 30% more expensive than this, and if you ask me, this is like 1,000,000,000 times better. But when you compare the Aero to other EUCs, especially ones in this size category, it really still obliterates the competition. There's just so much good things going for this wheel, and I can't say enough good and amazing things about it. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing and hitting that like button. If you want to learn more about the Aero, please check out Next Gen Mobility's website right here. That's all for today's video. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.